good Champions Day in prospect.
No, it really does. There's great depth the whole way through. Field sizes have held up really well. I know it's a stone that gets thrown at this meeting often, that the ground can be softer than ideal, but look, it's going to be testing most likely. But look, the fields are excellent. There's great depth, and this could lay claim to be one of the best individual days of racing that we've seen all season. So the stage is very much set. Can't wait for it.
Yeah, we know they're using the inner track, aren't they, on these 3 races on the round course, so it won't quite be as heavy as it would have been on the other course. But let's talk about the Champions Stakes, shall we? Because this looks like the big clash, isn't it, between Economics and Calandigan. Bookmakers kind of split between those two, but Los Angeles in the race as well. There's some good other horses as well. We just spoke to Harry Charlton. I mean, King's Gambit's a very likeable horse, but it does look like those two at the top are real sort of 10 furlong specialists, Kev, and they're both very, very classy horses.
Yeah, well, the big two have stood their ground, Enzo, but like it hasn't scared off a whole heap now. The declarations held up really well. And sure, look, it's what you want to see. It's the two really big guns knocking heads. We don't know where the ceiling is for either of them, really. Economics, you'd have to be really impressed with what he did, what he's done all season, but particularly in the Irish Champion Stakes. I don't think it was like tactically, it was fascinating to watch. Like, I think Tom Marquand was happy to sacrifice a bit of track position to make sure that he wasn't, outthought himself. And he ended up going a bit wider than he probably would have liked to. But I thought the horse gutted it out really well, showed a fantastic attitude under pressure, to see off a 6-time Group 1 winner in Augusta Rodin, who probably marginally headed him. I thought that was really impressive. And Calandigan, of course, was spectacular at Royal Ascot in maybe slightly shallower waters, but there was nothing wrong with the waters in the Juddmonte International last time. That was a tip-top race, and again he ran huge. Had a wider passage than ideal. Had to come from maybe a little bit further back than ideal, so he could be slightly marked up. He ended up, of course, finishing second. The City of Troy, well cleared of third. So we bring in two proper world-class horses here, knocking heads on soft ground. I think Economics will be fine on the ground. I think Calandigan will be fine on the ground. To be honest, Enzo, I've had a good look at this from a pace point of view. I worry that the pace might not be all that hot here, and Calandigan likes to be held up, and I don't know if the race will play to his strengths as much as it will Economics. So I'd be marginally leaning towards him, but proper racing prospect.
Yeah, it is. As you say, Calandigan, he's got winning form, hasn't he, in that Prix-Arcar on heavy ground in France. But I think Economics, he's answered every question, hasn't he, so far? And that will to win he showed at Leopardstown, I'd agree. I think I'd just be in camp Economics at the moment as well, but only marginally. What about the QE2, Kevin? I was talking a lot about this race earlier today. I mean, is Charing a horse that we think we could maybe field against in this race? I know he's had a long season. He's been on the go since end of March, hasn't he, at Doncaster? How do you see him faring on Saturday?
Oh, look, he sets the bar, Enzo, but like you say, it's a case of can he run up to his best? He's been brilliant this season. He's been the best miler in terms of a body of work that we've seen all season. And, the 2 times he's been beaten were in, somewhat similar circumstances in that he was undone by a clear leader that he couldn't quite drag back to him. But like he's been very good otherwise. I think that the ground shouldn't be an issue for him. He's got plenty of form on soft ground. And look, if he can bring his A game to the table, I don't think there's anything here to beat him. But look, that'll be a consistent theme the whole way through this card, Enzo. We're at the back end of the season. We're on soft ground. They won't all run to form, and he'll be a big focus point on the day. But I'll tell you, I'll give you one there at 1,000,000 to 1 that I think will outrun his odds is Lord Massousis.
Okay.
He's trained by Joe Murphy. He loves soft ground. He hasn't really got it all season. I could see him outrunning his odds. He'll be 100 to 1 plus. But,
Lord Massousis, I just got it down the card. We're just watching Charing win over in France, the Jacques Le Marois. This was one of his big successes. The horse he beats here, Metropolitan, I think, is in against him again. And of course, then the last time outrun, Kev, I've watched it many times now, that Tribalist win in the Moulin. I do think it's a race that got away from Charing slightly.
Yeah, it was. It just got a bit messy. Look, this day in the Jacques de Marois was probably his best day in terms of what he achieved on the form book, the visual impression, everything backed it up. It was a top class performance. But he wasn't quite able to bring the same level to Longchamp last time. And to be honest, I think that was a function of tactics on the day. I don't want to knock him too hard for it. I think both his defeats this year are excusable. So look, fully deserves his place right clear at the top of the market. But it all depends what your risk appetite is, Enzo. If you want a chance that he'll still be in the same form as he's been in all season, or whether he might be a little bit vulnerable after being to so many dances and turning up now on quite testing ground.
That's it. As a punter, isn't it? It's all about risk against reward, isn't it, in those sort of races? But just going back to your 101 shout here, Lord Massousis. I remember the race now he ran against Diego Velasquez, wasn't it? Champions weekend. He wasn't beaten that far. He made the running. Is he horse? Do you think they're going to be positive with him again? They put a hood on him, I think.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they're happy to cover him up. But the ground is the big thing, Enzo. Like he really wants soft ground, and they've just been a bit unlucky with him for much of the season. They haven't been able to get it, but he's still been performing very well. Like on his best day, I'd say he can get to 110 plus, and these are the conditions that'll bring it out of him. You know, Charon is rated 122, so that kind of sums up the task in front of him. But it just on this day, I think it's generally not a bad policy to have a few swings at bigger prices. And if they hit the frame at the sort of odds Lord Massousis is, you know, you're getting, you know, handsomely rewarded. So I'd be inclined to have a chance on one or two like him through the day and hope to slip one into the frame.
Yeah, if I could find a bookmaker paying 4 places, I think certainly that 101 could be interesting. Lord Massousis, good luck, Kev. It's a bold shout there. What about the sprint? I know you're keen on one here against the top two in the market. Obviously, Kinross, who runs in this race for about the 10th year in a row, I think. Montasip in it as well for William Haggis. But I think it's Beauvatier, isn't it, the French-trained horse that caught your eye last time out. That was a massive run, wasn't it, behind Ramachuel and Kinross, of course, on Arc Day.
Yeah, he's been really good. Like he was a very good 2-year-old. And they tried to make a French 2,000 guineas horse out of him, and they've just been edging back down in trip with him. And I suppose they're at the mid-range, the middle range sprint, if you will, in the Foray last time. I thought he ran really well. And look, testing ground, stiff 6 furlongs. I think it's going to play to his strengths. He'll be coming home hard, hitting the line well, and I just wouldn't be surprised if he can get himself up into the mix. But again, Enzo, if you wanted, I'll give you another one at a massive price. Similar again, Moss Tucker, trained by Ken Condon. He won the Flying Five Stakes at the Curragh last year when the rain came, and again he just hasn't been that lucky with the weather this season. It's gone against him more often than not. He was a bit disappointing in the Abbey last time, you'd have to say, but I just wouldn't be surprised if he's capable of bouncing back. He had a tough draw at Longchamp, and it just wasn't for him. So I could see him bouncing back at a big price.
Yeah, we're just watching the Beauvatier race there, finishing third behind the brilliant Ramachuel and Kinross that day. So Moss Tucker, very interesting one you come up with there as well. As you say, did go from the Abbey, but that race is a difficult race. And I think this will be more to his liking. And he's running all the big races. He ran behind Bradsell. He ran the Haydock Park Sprint Cup as well. So he's been at all the big sprints recently, Moss Tucker.
Yeah, and soft ground is just really important. And you look back through even the last 2 years, he got very lucky in the Flying Five. It absolutely hammered with rain about an hour before the race, so he got all his luck that day. But he hasn't had loads of luck with the ground otherwise. And look, I just wouldn't be surprised. He's a relatively fresh horse compared to some of these. And again, he'll be a very, very big price. And it just wouldn't be a shock if he slipped into the frame.
OK, maybe a little Moss Tucker, Lord Massousis each way double might be on the cards then. We've got to talk about Mexicali Rose, of course. She carries your colours for Joseph O'Brien, the Balmoral handicap. And I see you booked Maxime Guillon to ride.
Yeah, really looking forward to this, obviously. Yeah, we've had it lie in this race for a while because, you know, she showed herself to be really well suited to, you know, loads of cover, loads of pace in front of her. The last time she was in a handicap in the Galway Mile, she managed to win that day. The form has worked out quite well, I feel. Since then, she's been running in stakes races since, but they just haven't been bouncing her way. And I feel that she's still potentially well handicapped. You know, I'm not saying she's chucked in, but I think she's capable of running well in the big handicap. We've been doing the rain dance all week. It looks like she'd get ground that suits her, but it couldn't be heavy enough for her, Enzo. She'd absolutely love all the rain to come. Happy with the draw. I think you're going to want to be low here. And look, she'll be covered up. She'll be ridden to come home well. Maxime Guillon is a world-class rider. He's won a couple of Group 1s on the straight mile at Ascot, so he won't need directions.
Yep.
And yeah, I could see her running quite well now. She's a big few, 66-1 there up until yesterday. And I thought that was a little bit, that was quite a bit overs. So I could see her running very well.
Yep, let's hope we see you up there on that winner's podium on the last race on Saturday. Kev,
That'll be a bit of a dream come true, so we won't get that ambitious.